So when we go back to where I was talking about taking that responsibility of marketing on, demand marketing is when you go, okay, we are marketing because we know that we need to generate leads. That's what we're here to do. Okay. And so the focus when you're doing demand marketing is to be able to build your presence, get more leads in the pipeline, help convert more leads to sales. And it's really focused on that, growth element. It's a lot more ingrained in sales. When you're in the brand side, it's a lot more about messaging, right? It's about making things look a certain way. And look, you can go to my website, www.atackinteractive.com, and you will see I love good design. I love it. It looks great. But at some point, there's got to be some substance there. And I think a lot of times the brand marketer is really, really concentrated on certain things, like everything aligning, everyone having the same footer in the company, and everyone having the same social media, or the same banner on their LinkedIn profile, and having that brand alignment and everything the same way. And I think that is probably why salespeople really have a hard time with brand marketers, because they want them to be a lot more on the demand side, because they're just screaming, where are my leads? What can you do to help me get these guys a little further down the funnel? So is that a fair enough explanation for the audience?
100%. And I think you're totally right on the head, where like, this is where the conflict comes from. If you're an account exec sitting there saying, hey, my company's spending all this money on marketing, but all they're doing is logo and brand and design work, like, how is that helping me? And it's my job to help grow this company and to bring in new customers. And in some ways, if you're a salesperson, that's really all that matters. Yeah, it's cool that we got a nice brand. It's cool that, the website looks good or doesn't look bad. But, they're almost hygiene factors. If you go back to like your, any psych classes you took in university, where they don't add any additional happiness, but they can, like a crappy looking website will just, will take away some happiness or some satisfaction from a customer. But a really amazing looking website doesn't add any. It's like, it goes on a scale like 0 to -10. And I think where salespeople get frustrated or have been frustrated, and where I've been frustrated, is when it comes down to like prioritization of like resources, focusing on brand, not focusing enough on the demand side. And I didn't have those words in the early days, which is one of the reasons I wanted to start at this place. Because if you're coming from a brand side, like, there's nothing wrong with brand, as we talked about. And in some cases, it was really important for us to kind of get all on the same page with messaging. But when that brand effort starts to leak into, okay, well, I want the sales development campaigns to have this messaging. It's like, whoa. There's a time and a place for brand. And I think when you get into, like, you wouldn't take your brand and say, okay, now I'm going to use my brand to dictate, or my brand and my brand messaging to dictate the keywords that we go after for SEO. Right? Like, that's just not, that's a bad idea. That I think, I don't know much about marketing, but I think we could all agree that's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, for the most part.
So I mean, there's some alignment for sure, but you're not going to go and be like, okay, take these branded keywords and, optimize your whole website for these branded keywords. Of course, what you're going to do is, and same with cold email, is like, we want to be open to a test. We're going to try anything. We want to find the right messaging that works. And this is not to disparage marketing or people that get their messaging from marketing. But I think, to your point, anytime I'm happy with messaging that I've written, I know it's bad. I know it's not going to do well. Anytime I'm like, oh, that's clever, I really like it, I'm like, there's like a red flag that goes off. Is like, this is going to do quite poorly.
Yeah, I also think, going back to what I was talking about, let the data make the right decision. I feel like a lot of times sales is talking to the prospect, is talking to the customer. And so they're understanding a lot of the customer hesitations, a lot of the pain points, a lot of the problems that are trying to be solved. And I feel like where marketing can miss the boat is if they're trying to come up with that message without the input of the people who are talking to the prospects and customers day in and day out. Because that, to me, is vital. It is really recognizing, who do we have that we're currently working with, and what is resonating with them. And I think marketing, doing that sort of just internal research, could really help out a lot in making sure that when they do have suggestions, that they do start putting certain messages, it's a lot more consistent with what people on the ground are actually saying.
100%. And I think in that instance, that's not necessarily this is a marketer put into a role where they're trying to do the best they can, right? if you're joining a company and you're in marketing or sales and there's no product leader, or there's nobody who owns the customer, or there's nobody who can introduce you to these customers to help you understand those things, I think this is the one thing that I think services businesses or hardware businesses miss that I think software businesses do a really great job of. And I shouldn't say all software businesses, but when you're starting something new, you do all this custom development, you do the research, you're doing, and at least when I do it, I'm talking to customers, I'm talking to prospects or people that could become customers, and I'm asking them what their unmet needs are. And I got a process for going through it. And it's that initial genesis of, okay, this is who we're reaching out to and why. That's where this comes from. If you hire a marketer into your organization, or a salesperson or a sales leader or any sort of revenue leader, and you don't say, here's that nugget, and you pass it to them, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this marketer who shows up and looks at the marketing site, goes, it's not good enough, and looks at your marketing materials and then just starts going. But if they don't get the opportunity to sit and interview customers and, like you said, develop that empathy, develop that understanding, develop that awareness, I don't care what side of the marketing or sales table you're sitting on, you're probably, hitting off the back foot.